Hey, good morning, everybody out there in the YouTube internet world. Just wanted to come in, make a quick video here. Hopefully, it's quick about prepping. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube, online, on how to prep. So I'm not going to get into a lot of specifics. I can I'll just leave it to you. Some of it takes years to actually get a good system or to get good things that like good supplies. You got to shop around. You got to really look into things, because you can end up blowing a lot of money on a bunch of worthless stuff. But I'm going to give you basically my premise, my philosophy behind this, on what I think are the most important things, especially to people that are now kind of in a panic, in a fear about what's going on up until the election, which, to be honest, at this point, we should all be at least on guard and alerted for what's about to come. I feel like God is speaking loud and clear that things could get very rough for a patch of time, and it could be a prolonged time, and we really don't know. And so that's why I would say at this point, prepare for the worst, and definitely pray that God's will and the best would come, for our country. So with that being said, it's more geared towards that, but I'm also going to throw in some stuff towards people that maybe are seasoned preppers. I would look at myself at this point. I started really learning about prepping in about 2012. That's when I first got into it. The main thing I saw when I got involved is that a lot of stuff, especially online, and a lot of people, they're really into like bugging out and like heading out to the woods and like becoming some kind of bushwhacker, and where you got to start fires and live like some kind of bushwhacker for like the next 2 years or something like that. Or you got people that are trying to literally survive a nuclear holocaust, like a doomsday prepper type. I don't go in either one of those. That's not my philosophy behind prepping. My philosophy behind prepping is more of, I want it to be more of a lifestyle, more of something that is going to sustain me through a hard time, so I can provide for my family and also be a blessing to others and to be able to help people. So that's more of my philosophy behind it. It's not to try to survive the doomsday apocalypse, and because if that happens, if there's a nuclear holocaust, whatever, if you got some little bunker down below and this and that and everything, good luck with all that. So, but anyways, the most important thing I would want to stress to those out there, especially people that are kind of freaking out, thinking like, oh man, we're not prepared if it really hits the fan, so to speak. I would say this: the number one thing that is going to get you through any kind of situation is your mentality. It is going to be your inner fortitude to persevere and to overcome, and to not only have that, but to be able to think level-headedly through it all. To me, that's the number one thing. So for me as a Christian, it's your relationship with God. It's being able to hear the voice of the Holy Spirit. It's being able to have wisdom on knowing what decision to make in a time of crisis. So that's the number one thing. I mean, I think you could have all sorts of physical stuff, whether it's food and ammunition and all this other stuff. It's going to do you no good is if you're basically living in fear and you're just completely freaking out. So I think the first and foremost, that has to be a place above everything. So if you've been walking with God, He's gonna get you ready, even if you only got a month to get ready for what's about to come. Election day is November 3rd. So a lot of people are wondering like, oh man, I only got a month to get ready for whatever's gonna happen. I would say start there. Make sure that mentally, physically, you have a plan, that you are prepared every day through prayer. And then I would say start with something small, okay? When it comes to preparing physically. Something small is this: you don't need a ton of money to be prepared to withstand several months, possibly even up to a year of a crisis situation. And this is the way I would start it, is keep on you at all times some way, whether it's a device, some kind of storage. I keep actually several units. One of them is it's like a flashlight, power bank that just goes right into my cigarette lighter. I think it's called like Rugged Reserve. But anyways, I can charge my phone. I could just grab that and book out of my car if I needed to, and I can always have a way to charge my phone in case I need to get a hold of my wife, to keep the communications going. So I have something that's like pretty much with me at all times, because I travel long distances for work. So I would say start with, on the prepper community, they call it EDC, which means everyday carry. So I'd say start there. I keep, a little pocket knife on me. On my keychain, I have a flashlight, and I have a little tiny multi-tool. Believe it or not, something like that, just if you're in the dark and you're on a situation where you're going to have to book it, man, having a flashlight is a big thing. So to me, these little tiny items can go a long way. So start with an EDC, some kind of everyday carry. It could be a firearm, a concealed weapon, but a firearm is not gonna, it's gonna help protect you, obviously, but it's not a total necessity. I'd say a knife, a flashlight, and some way to charge your cell phone so that you can communicate with your family or a group of people that you are networking with, that you can come together and you can help one another. And I would say that's the second biggest thing, other than a good EDC, is the community. But before I move on to the community, the other big thing that you can compile, and even in the next month, is a bug out bag or a bug in bag. For me, I have a bug in bag. There are ones out there that at least have the basic essentials that you can buy. I don't know if it's still available right now with how everything is online. People are buying this stuff up very quickly. But I built my own bug out bag. I built a bug out bag for the last 8 years, and I've went out and I've tested it and to see like what I'm really gonna need. So for me, since I'm traveling long distance, I just want something that's gonna be able to get me home. And because that's, to me, that's the final destination. My bug out location is my home. And that's my philosophy. I don't want to have to go out and live in the woods with my 5 kids. If I have to, so be it. But that's just, that's, to me, that's a very pie in the sky situation. So, and I don't really feel like, I need to isolate myself long term. I think if whatever comes our way, that we're going to have to learn to come together as a community in our neighborhood, and our homes are gonna really need to be our like stronghold. So to me, that is a huge thing, is your EDC, which I would say, definitely light, knife, it could even be like maybe you got some like protein bars, something that you can just kind of keep on you. Like I said, I got a little flashlight on my keychain. I'm not going to give no product list or nothing. There's so many videos out there. If you're looking for specifics, like this is I got this little light. It's a little O light. I got it off of Amazon. It's very bright. And I got a little multi-tool and a little knife. And that is going to help me in some kind of a situation. If I had to book it and I just only had that, at least I'll have a flashlight. It could go a long way to get where I need to go. The other thing with the bug out bag, the essentials I would put in it for somebody like me who's just trying to get home, some of the biggest essentials I'm putting in there is you got the basics, food, water, shelter, right? And you can throw in like some kind of form of protection or whatnot. But I also have stuff in there like road flares. A road flare is a big deal when you're traveling. You can use it for all sorts of stuff. I would say with the bug out bag, get items that are going to have more than one use. But definitely start with some way to filter water, some way to build a shelter. You know, I have a tent, a small tent. I have a small sleeping bag. I also have, you know, the Mylar blankets, and I have all those different things to, you know, if I'm really in a cold situation. You know, I got like an extra pair of socks in there. You know, I got obviously a container to carry water. I even have a thing to boil water. You know, and here's a big one. I don't want to forget this one. To me, the biggest thing you should have in your bug out bag or bug in bag, whatever you want to call it, excuse me, is a good medical kit, where you have all sorts of stuff in that medical kit that because to me, I use a lot of stuff out of my bag just in everyday use. So when you're out there and you're trying to get home and it's in some crisis situation, man, if you cut your fingers open, or you do, you know, you got something wrong with your foot or whatever, to be able to like take care of that little wound or whatever can mean that could be a big thing, man, when you're on foot trying to travel. So to me, a medical kit, obviously I have an Israeli bandage. I have stuff to deal with trauma. You know, I have stuff to deal with, you know, let's say, you know, you get sick or something, you know, you get diarrhea. I got diarrhea pills in there. Stuff, you got to start thinking on those terms on a practical sense, not so much, you know, you're going to go live in the woods for a year or whatever. So those are some of the basic stuff I got inside my bag. I'll probably make a video more in depth, and this is kind of aimed, like I said, for people, you know, that I know personally, and you know, I want to help you out, and I just kind of wanted to make something to add to this, you know, so that people can be prepared, man, because I really do believe things are actually going to get worse before they get better, unfortunately. But I think good is going to come out of this if we're praying. If we can endure through it, being prepared can get us to where we need to go in that process. So with that being said, get your EDC, start making a bug out bag or a bug in bag, whatever you want to call it. Okay, you can get these things right now. Okay, you can go shopping in one day and at least have something to help you. Okay. So I would start right there, and then the next part of it is I would start trying to build a community. Find out what your neighbors are all about. Find out what your neighbors think about all this. You know, I just bought a house, so I'm kind of like feeling things out with my neighbors. I feel like I live in a good neighborhood. There's good, solid people there, but there's some people I don't really know about. So try to network with some of your people. That's what I'm actively trying to do. I'm thinking about reaching out to some of my church family, you know, and some of them are into prepping. Some of them have been preparing for stuff like this for a long time, like me. I want to have a network and a community of people so we can help one another. So that not only can we help one another take care of our families, but then we can help people out there that are just totally devastated by all this. Because a lot of people are going to be caught off guard, because you saw what happened when COVID hit. Everybody's buying, you know, certain things out, and people are freaking out. So I would say that's a huge part, okay? And then the third thing is obviously you need to have certain elements at your house, meaning some kind of way to have food and to have water. And I would throw in there also probably some form of maybe like a generator or some way to that you can have electricity. It could be on a smaller level or one of these big old generators, whatever it is, you know, ways to recharge, you know, devices. Phones are going to be huge. To be able to communicate during a crisis is huge. So for people out there that right now everything's backed up, the freeze-dried food, all the prepper type food, it's really hard to get a hold of that stuff. So if you haven't bought some of that stuff previously, I would say start right here. Go to your grocery store, buy a big old bag, 40-pound bag of rice, okay? And buy, you know, a big old bag of some beans, you know, whether it be black beans, pinto beans, whatever. Rice and beans can sustain you. It may suck, you know, you may have to get creative with some butter and some seasoning and this and that, but that will sustain you for quite a while on a little amount of money. So if you can't buy the freeze-dried food or whatever, and you can't buy some of this other stuff that's more expensive, buy the rice and the beans. And I would say you could get Oxygen little packets off of Amazon. It's fairly cheap. You can go buy some 5-gallon buckets from Lowe's, and go buy a little $20 Food Saver vacuum sealer, and break up your stuff into maybe rations, like a week's worth of rice and beans. Throw it in a vacuum seal, throw it in a bucket with the oxygen absorbers, and right there you have basically what these dudes are selling online when it comes to freeze-dried food, and everything's all vacuum sealed and whatnot. You have long-term prepper item right there that can help sustain you. For me, and like I said, I'm gonna make another video to this where I'm gonna actually go around and I'm gonna show you all my stuff. I'm gonna break down my bug out bag just like all these other people do on YouTube, and I'm just gonna show you what I do and what's worked for me. And I really am aiming this towards people that live in our local area, that maybe I can give you some good ideas, some good tips. I can, because I've been doing trial and error with this on prepping for 8 years. Some of this stuff, unfortunately, you ain't going to be able to figure out in a month or even a year. There's a lot of trial and error. So at my house, I do have freeze-dried food. I have a lot of food that has a long-term shelf life. I have, bags of rice. We have a lot of canned goods. I think just what you have, if you just stock up on canned goods, even if it's past the best by date, you just hold on to that stuff, because that stuff is still edible. You can still eat it. It may not be the most nutritious type stuff, but it's cheap. You don't need a ton of money to be able to withstand several months of a crisis. So another thing I have is I have rain barrels. I have 55-gallon rain barrels, and you can collect rainwater. Sorry about that. That was a phone call coming in. But anyways, collect rain. Collect rainwater off your gutters if you can. Set up a rain barrel. It's pretty simple, but you do need to test it. You do need to get the right system going. I'll make a video. I'll show you how I did all my thing. So I have two 55-gallon rain barrels that collect water off my roof, and then I have another 55-gallon barrel that I collect water off my chicken house's roof, and that gives my chickens water. And I'm also going to filter that water as well with some filters that will hook up to the nozzles on the spigots on my rain barrels. So I also obviously then I have chickens, so I have a long-term sustainable food source with eggs, and if I need to, I guess I can eat the chickens. So to me, that's a big one. But the rice, the beans, and some way to get water or some way to filter water would be the cheapest, easiest, quickest way that you can prepare for something. So I would say if you live in the city, you may need to potentially think about, if you can't collect water in the city, if you can't, if you live in an apartment or something like that, if the water gets shut off, you're going to have to be thinking more about just bugging out of your location and finding a spot. But you could bug out real quick, like with your bug out bag and just a couple buckets of rice and beans, and be good to go, in some way to store water, and just find some place where you can filter water. Maybe it's somebody's property, something like that, if you need to endure through some kind of crisis that can last, several months. So, and I'm not just talking about natural disaster at this point. I'm talking about there's a potential that we could face a storm of events in this country where we might have to endure for 5, 6, however months. And a lot of people are going to be looking to the government to basically, take care of them. If I were you, I would recommend not doing that. I would recommend you get yourself right with God, get your mind right, and start with some basics, and just prepare yourself and look to sustain and take care of yourself instead of having to rely on the government, because they are not going to be able to take care of everybody. I'll tell you that right now. Plus, there's always a string attached if you got to rely on the government. So with that being said, if you've never done anything to prep at all, and now you're wondering, like, man, what am I going to do because things are looking crazy? I hope I've given you a couple basic things that are going to sustain you through it. First and foremost, you got to be mentally ready. You got to be emotionally ready, spiritually ready. And then on the physical side, you need to have a plan. You need to have a network, of people that you can connect with. This could all be done in a very short amount of time. And then I would start with some kind of everyday carry in a bug out bag. Just the basics. You can go to Walmart right now and you can buy all this stuff and at least have something, have something in case, you're not ready. I mean, there's more to it. This is to really get through this in more of a comfortable fashion. Like I said, it's going to take a lot of time, but you can get things ready right now in 1 month and be prepared for what's about to come. So with that being said, obviously my philosophy is to be, my home is kind of like my castle type thing. But if you're in an apartment, like we were talking about before, look to find a bug out location to get out of that place, because you will not be able to. If you can store all the rice you want, but if you ain't got water, your rice is no good. You could have all this food, but it ain't gonna do you no good if you don't have actual water. So if you can't collect water and the water gets shut off, you're pretty much screwed at that point. So a couple quick things. If you're at home though, you can stay home, which I think is best. Look into getting that food like I talked about, and also look into maybe getting a Berkey water filter system, because you can take pond water and you can dump it into a Berkey. You can take water straight out of your gutters and rainwater and put it into a Berkey and have fresh drinking water. So without electricity. So I'd say that's the best one. Some of them are a little bit pricey, but I'd say it's definitely worth it. So with all that being said, man, I'm praying for this country. I'm praying that everything works out, to where we can come out of it. But unfortunately, I think it's pretty clear at this point, man, that people are deceived. People are brainwashed in this country. People are so swept away with ideological rhetoric. And plus on the spiritual side, man, this stuff is getting ramped up big time. And if you don't see that right now, if you're one of these people that think everything is just gonna be a-okay, I don't know what to tell you, but I think a lot of people are on the side of what we're talking about here. Is you probably want to be prepared for the worst, for what's about to come. So I didn't mention anything about firearms in this video, because right now it is extremely difficult to get good firearms and ammunition. So I would be looking for alternatives. If you can get your hands on a firearm and get a concealed carry, which right now I don't think, in the state of Washington, there's a waiting period, I think, until next spring to get your concealed carry permit. But you can still open carry legally. So I would look into that. If you're somebody who doesn't have rights, I'd be looking to get reinstated right now, and try to get these things done now. These are things that, if you're looking in that direction. Otherwise, when it comes to protection, there is a couple things online that can help you. There is like this gun that shoots out pepper balls. That is, it looks like like a Glock 9 or something. But it's totally legal. You don't have to have a concealed carry. It's not an actual firearm. I think it runs about $400 or $500, but it's basically like a little pepper ball gun, and you load it in, with a magazine, just like a regular gun. And I would look into stuff like that. Bear spray is another good thing. At least it's something. Obviously you ain't gonna win no gunfight with these things, but some way to protect yourself, I think would be important at this point, because it's not just the people that are caught up in the politics that you got to worry about, but there are people that prey on other people's weaknesses and chaos that are up to no good, and there's a lot of them out there, and a lot more than people realize. When when you live a normal life, you don't see the underbelly of society and some of the people that get down. You know, before I was a Christian, I lived in that world. I saw how people were, and I think people are worse nowadays. But these people are going to be unleashed on society, and they're going to try to take advantage of people. And if there's not going to be any police, you know, that are going to be able to help, you're going to be left to your own devices. Obviously, you know, look to the Lord. You know, he can protect above any firearm. But obviously, there are practical things, you know, biblically speaking. You know what I mean? I think it's obvious that you should be able to protect your family, you know, and protect yourself if needed. You know, so with all that being said, I think I pretty much said everything I needed to say. I'll make another video that I'll actually go in depth. I'll actually take video of my bug-in bag, of my whole setup at my house. Just what I got going on. So, and hopefully it can help some people out there, you know. I'm not doing this to put myself out there, you know, too much. I just want people to be prepared, because I believe that there are more good people than there are bad people, and I just want to help those people that maybe necessarily are kind of late to the game here when it comes to getting prepped. So with that said, God bless you all. I will talk to you later.